Kosovo to enhance bilateral cooperation in key sectors. Singaporeans to cast votes in general election tomorrow. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. I'm Mohanapriya and you're watching World Today. Kosovo President Dr. Vjosa Osmani Sadru, who's on a 4-day official visit to Malaysia, was accorded an official welcome at the Perdana Putra complex today. She arrived at 9 a.m. and was received by Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim, followed by the playing of the national anthems of both countries. The discussions between both leaders are expected to focus on enhancing bilateral cooperation in key sectors, including trade, investment, education and people-to-people exchanges. Dr. Vjosa Osmani then inspected a guard of honour mounted by 3 officers and 103 personnel from the 1st Battalion of the Royal Malay Regiment, led by Major Muhammad Fikri Sinan. Also present were Deputy Prime Ministers Datuk Sri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi and Datuk Sri Fadilah Yusof, Cabinet Ministers, foreign diplomats and senior government officials. After the ceremony, she signed the guest book and then proceeded to a bilateral meeting with PM Anwar. In 2024, total bilateral trade between Malaysia and Kosovo reached 28.55 million ringgit, with Malaysia's exports to the Republic valued at 25.92 million ringgit and imports at 2.63 million ringgit. On another note, Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim today was conferred the Order of Independence, Kosovo's highest civilian award, by the country's president, Dr. Vjosa Osmani Sadru, in a ceremony held at the Perdana Putra complex. According to a statement from the Prime Minister's office, the award is the highest recognition granted by the Kosovo government to individuals who have made significant contributions towards the country's independence. The conferment recognizes Malaysia's unwavering support for Kosovo's statehood and post-independence development, as well as Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim's steadfast commitment to strengthening bilateral ties between both countries. Education Minister Fadlina Sidek, foreign diplomats and senior government officials were also present at the award ceremony. Singapore's 2.75 million voters will cast their votes for the nation's future leadership tomorrow. Polling day has been declared a public holiday, and polling stations across Singapore will open at 8 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. Aside from physical rallies, political parties delivered their final messages to voters for Singapore's general election on Thursday night, ahead of polling day on Saturday. The cooling-off period begins at midnight, when all forms of campaigning are prohibited. Prime Minister Lawrence Wong, who is also the Secretary-General of the ruling People's Action Party (PAP), reiterated the significance of this year's election, not just in forming the next government, but in shaping the leadership that will take Singapore forward for the future generations. Meanwhile, women's participation in the Singapore General Election 2025 has reached a new high, with 53 women candidates contesting, up from 40 in general elections of 2020. This marks the highest number of female candidates in the Republic's electoral history. South Korea's former acting president Han Duck-soo today said he would join the race to become the country's next president after resigning the day before. A snap presidential election will be held on the 3rd of June. Han was serving his second stint as the head of a cabinet when he became acting president on 14th December, after then-President Yoon Suk-yeol was impeached by Parliament for his short-lived move to impose martial law. 2 weeks later, Han himself was impeached after being accused of aiding Yoon in the martial law declaration and his powers suspended. His impeachment was overturned by the Constitutional Court on 24th March, restoring his powers, and he had been due to serve as acting leader until the snap election. Still, he has faced pushback from the main Liberal Democratic Party, whose candidate Lee Jae-myung is favoured to win the election amid accusations that talks are being rushed under the Conservatives for political gain. Han's roles have ranged from Prime Minister, Finance Minister and Trade Minister to Presidential Secretary for Policy Coordination, besides being ambassador to the US and OECD and heading up think tanks and organizations. Han also has experience working with South Korea's key ally, the United States, having been deeply involved in the process of signing the US-South Korea Free Trade Agreement. At least 18 more Palestinians were killed in Israeli airstrikes in Gaza in the last 24 hours, bringing the death toll from Israel's ongoing genocidal war since October 2023 to 52,418. The Palestinian Health Ministry said on Thursday that 77 more injured people were also transferred to hospitals, taking the number of injuries to 118,091 in the Israeli onslaught. The ministry added that many victims are still trapped under the rubble and on the roads as rescuers are unable to reach them. The Israeli army resumed its deadly offensive on the Gaza Strip on 18th March and has since killed over 2,300 people and injured over 6,000 others, despite a ceasefire and prisoner exchange agreement that took hold in January. Last November, the International Criminal Court issued arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant for war crimes and crimes against humanity in Gaza. Israel also faces a genocide case at the International Court of Justice for its war on the enclave. Humanitarian organizations also said that incidents of aid looting in Gaza are rising as stocks of food, medicine run low amid Israel's now 2-month blockade. The Executive Director of the World Health Organization's Emergencies Program, Dr. Michael Ryan, said on Thursday that the minds and bodies of children in Gaza are being broken following 2 months of aid blockade and renewed strikes. He stated that this has worsened since the 2nd of March as the Israelis have blocked the entry of medical, fuel and food supplies into Gaza.
As a doctor, as a physician, as someone watching, more than 1,000 children without limbs, thousands of children with spinal cord injuries and severe head injuries from which they'll never recover, thousands and thousands of children with severe psychological distress that they may never recover from. We are watching this unfold before our very eyes, and we're not doing anything about it. And as a physician, I'm angry. I'm angry with myself that I'm not doing enough. I'm angry with everyone here. I'm angry with you. I'm angry with the world. This should not be happening. It cannot continue. We have to stop it. I'm glad someone asked the question, but this is an abomination. It's an abomination.
He stressed that the cases of pneumonia and meningitis in Gaza's children could also increase as the current level of malnutrition among them is causing a collapse in immunity. Israel says the decision to block the supplies is aimed at pressuring Hamas to free hostages as the ceasefire agreement stalled. A Ukrainian drone attack has killed at least 7 people in Kherson, and a Russian drone attack on Odessa left 2 people dead. Authorities said 1 man buried under the rubble had been pulled out alive, and 9 people were being treated in hospital. The attack in the partially occupied Kherson region of southern Ukraine, which struck a market in the town of Oleshki, killed 7 and wounded more than 20 people. The regional governor confirmed on Thursday at least 14 people were wounded after a Russian attack on Ukraine's southeastern city of Zaporizhzhia. Russian forces had made at least 10 strikes on the city, targeting private homes, high-rise apartment buildings, educational institutions and infrastructure sites. The attacks come after Ukraine and the US signed a deal granting the US priority access to Ukraine's critical minerals as a means of deterring future Russian aggression. Authorities in Pakistan-administered Kashmir shut more than 1,000 religious schools on Thursday over fears of possible military action from India in retaliation for last week's deadly attack. India blames Pakistan for the gun attack that killed 26 people on 22nd April in Indian-administered Kashmir, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi giving his military complete operational freedom. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio late Wednesday separately called India's top diplomat Subramaniam Jaishankar and Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif to de-escalate tensions and maintain peace and security in South Asia. Denying involvement in the attack, Islamabad said it had credible evidence that India is now planning an imminent military strike, vowing that any act of aggression will be met with a decisive response. Rubio also urged Pakistani officials' cooperation in investigating the attack. On Thursday, New Delhi reported the 7th straight night of small arms gunfire between the two sides at the heavily militarized line of control, the de facto border. Up next, U.S. President Donald Trump asks Waltz as a national security advisor and nominates him for UN post. Stay tuned. But first, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum said on Thursday that she had a very good conversation with her U.S. counterpart, Donald Trump. The president of Mexico stated that both parties concurred on the necessity for their nation's leading officials in finance, treasury, trade and economics to persist in their efforts to enhance the trade balance and address significant matters that would be advantageous for both countries.
Fue una muy buena conversación y aunque no hay un acuerdo específico, lo importante es que estamos trabajando en ello y hay un deseo por parte del gobierno de los Estados Unidos y nuestro en que alcancemos todavía mejores acuerdos en materia comercial. Lo que está muy interesado el gobierno de los Estados Unidos es en disminuir el déficit, que ellos llaman déficit con México. Y desde hace tiempo nosotros hemos estado planteando que busquemos la manera en toda la economía de cómo puede comprarse más hacia los Estados Unidos y nosotros, es decir, tener aún más comercio que el que tenemos de ambas partes para beneficio de ambos países.
Trump's executive order, signed on Tuesday, modifies the previously announced 25% tariffs on auto part imports that were scheduled to take effect on the 3rd of May. This policy adjustment represents a substantial relief for Mexico, which operates under the United States-Mexico-Canada Free Trade Agreement. United States President Donald Trump has announced that he plans to reassign Mike Waltz, removing him from his current role as his national security advisor and nominating him instead to be ambassador to the United Nations. The revelation on Thursday comes after a morning of intense speculation that Waltz and his second-in-command, Deputy National Security Advisor Alex Wong, had been pushed out of their roles. Trump wrote on his social media platform Truth Social that he would be nominating Waltz to be the next U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, adding that he has worked hard to put the nation's interests first. Trump said the Secretary of State Marco Rubio would instead step into the role of National Security Advisor, while continuing in his role as the country's top diplomat. The U.S. president's message seemed to confirm the first major staffing shakeup of his second term. Earlier in the day, sources had told major U.S. news outlets that Waltz had been forced out after his relationship with Trump cooled. Waltz's reputation has suffered from an incident in which he appears to have added a journalist to a private chat on the app Signal, where details of U.S. military attacks were shared. But Trump has publicly stood by Waltz and refused to mete out punishment for the Signal scandal. The European Union is preparing a new round of sanctions against Russia, marking the 17th wave of such measures imposed on the country. French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot expressed hope that the initiative would be coordinated with the United States. The minister also described Russia as the sole obstacle to peace in Ukraine. Meanwhile, Barrot said Russian President Vladimir Putin has made no effort and has sent no sign that it is ready for the ceasefire or the peace. The French minister did not rule out the possibility that France, which, as he said, has expertise in rare earth minerals, could also conclude an economic agreement with Ukraine. On another note, U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham has rallied dozens of lawmakers from both parties to support a plan to impose additional sanctions on Moscow, as well as tariffs on countries that buy Russian energy. The 27-nation bloc has imposed unprecedented penalties on Russia in response to its invasion and announced it would not lift sanctions before Putin's unconditional withdrawal of forces from Ukraine this year. More than 1.4 million Syrians have returned home since the fall of the Bashar Assad regime last December, the UN Refugee Agency UNHCR said on Thursday. Now, the UNHCR said on X that for the Syrians who have returned to their homes, hope is real, but rebuilding isn't easy. Some of those returning have been displaced since the country's civil war broke out in 2011. The UN agency called for international support to help Syrian families start anew. It added the Syrians need support rebuilding homes and infrastructure, landmine safety awareness, legal assistance, and mental health support. During the civil war, Turkey hosted some 4 million Syrians, more than any other country in the world. Assad, Syria's leader for nearly 25 years, fled to Russia after anti-regime groups took control of Damascus on 8 December 2024. The collapse of his government also ended the reign of the Ba'ath Party, which began in 1963. On 29th January, Ahmad al-Shara'a was appointed the country's president. According to Saudi press agency SPA, Ministry of Interior spokesman Colonel Talal bin Shalboub confirmed that penalties are now being implemented against those performing Hajj, entering or staying in Mecca and the holy sites without a permit. Now, he made the remarks during a session at the Digital Communication Conference. Colonel Shalboub stated that anyone caught performing Hajj without a permit or entering or staying in Mecca or the holy sites on a visit visa faces a fine of up to 20,000 Saudi riyal. He added that anyone facilitating these violations, such as applying for visas, transporting, sheltering, concealing, or otherwise assisting violators, faces a fine of up to 100,000 Saudi riyal. Fines are applied per individual violation. He noted that residents or overstayers caught attempting Hajj without a permit will be deported and banned from the kingdom for 10 years. The colonel also warned against fraudulent Hajj schemes offering services like accommodation, transport, surrogate Hajj services, sacrificial animals, or fake bracelets. He also highlighted the ongoing Makkah Route initiative, part of the Pilgrim Experience program under Saudi Vision 2030, operating at 11 airports in 7 countries. Launched in 2017, the initiative has served 940,657 pilgrims. Apple reported first quarter profit above expectations, but warned that United States tariffs could cost the company and was disrupting its supply chain. The chief executive, Tim Cook, said Apple expects U.S. tariffs to cost $900 million in the current quarter, even though their impact was limited at the start of this year. He expected a majority of iPhones sold in the US will have India as the country of origin, adding that Apple's products were exempt from Trump's most severe reciprocal tariffs for now. They are not able to precisely estimate the impact of tariffs, as the company is uncertain of potential future actions prior to the end of the quarter. Tit-for-tat exchanges have seen hefty US levies imposed on China, with Beijing setting retaliatory barriers on US imports. High-end technology goods such as smartphones, semiconductors and computers received a temporary reprieve from US tariffs. While iPhones produced in mainland China still account for the majority of US shipments, production in India ramped up towards the end of the quarter. The beginning of May in the United Kingdom is anticipated to be the hottest on record since the inception of records began in 1860. Forecasters are predicting temperatures could reach 30 degrees Celsius at the earliest point on record. Met Office meteorologists said the United Kingdom could face the warmest start to May on record. Temperatures could climb to 29 degrees Celsius or even 30 degrees Celsius. On Wednesday, the temperature reached 26.7 degrees in Wisley, Surrey, making it the warmest day of the year so far. The previous high was 24.5 degrees Celsius in St. James's Park, London, on Monday, which reached 24.7 degrees Celsius on Tuesday. Now, despite the soaring temperatures, the Met Office has ruled out a heat wave this week. The warm weather could also challenge the record for the highest April temperature in Wales, which is 26.2 degrees. However, temperatures are expected to ease by Friday, and Saturday will bring cooler conditions of 14 degrees Celsius to 18 degrees Celsius across the country. The London Fire Brigade has urged caution around open water swimming after a 32% increase in water-related incidents last month compared with the same period last year. Blistering first-half displays help Manchester United earn stunning victory in Bilbao. Stay with us. We begin our sports segment with the local news. The National Lawn Bowls squad continued to create a sensation when it brought home 4 golds and 1 silver in the 16th Asia Lawn Bowls Championship and the 14th Asian Under-25 Lawn Bowls Championship in Clark, the Philippines. The excellence began in the senior category when the pair of Mohammad Saufi Rusli Amirul Daniel Abdul Rahim defeated Hong Kong's representatives 21-10 in the men's pair final to bring home the gold medal. The momentum continued in the men's triple squad through Izzat Shamir Zulkifli, Mohammad Naufal Azmi and Mohammad Idham Amin Ramlan, who beat the Thai squad 16-8 in the final. Not only that, Malaysia also won gold in the women's singles event through Nurul Aliani Jamil after defeating host bowler Rosita Bradburn 21-11. The national squad also brought home the silver medal in the women's 4 event after the home team defeated Malaysia 15-12 in the final. For the under-25 category, Ain Nur Najwa Nur Hisham took the gold after defeating Hong Kong representative Gloria Ha 21-11 in the final. 3 first-half goals helped Manchester United put themselves on the cusp of the Europa League final, with the Premier League side earning a 3-0 semi-final first leg win away at Athletic Bilbao early this morning. In a raucous San Mamés atmosphere with supporters dreaming of a first-ever European trophy, veteran midfielder Casemiro arrived at the back post to give the visitors the lead 30 minutes in. United, who are having a miserable season domestically, were given another boost 5 minutes later as Bilbao defender Daniel Vivian was sent off for fouling Rasmus Højlund in the penalty area, and Bruno Fernandes converted the resulting spot kick. The United fans high in the top tier were in dreamland moments later as Fernandes raced through to put the seal on a victory and perhaps even the tie before the interval. Bilbao, who have the added incentive that the final will be hosted at their own stadium on 21st of May, could not muster a response in the second half with depleted numbers, leaving United to coast to the most unlikely first leg success. United's victory means 133 teams have won the first leg of a UEFA Cup or Europa League knockout stage tie by 3 or more goals away from home, and all 133 have won the tie. And on to tennis. Number 5 seed Jack Draper of Great Britain breezed past Italian Matteo Arnaldi 6-love 6-4 in 77 minutes on Thursday to reach the semi-finals of the Madrid Open. Draper's run at the ATP Masters 1000 event ensures that he will break into the top 5 of the world rankings next week for the first time in his young career. The 23-year-old won 33 of 43 total service points and never faced a break point in a dominant showing against Arnaldi. Draper's opponent in the semi-finals will be another native of Italy, number 10 seed Lorenzo Musetti, who ended Canadian lucky loser Gabriel Diallo's run with a 6-4, 6-3 quarter-final win. Norwegian 14th seed Casper Ruud defeated Russian 9th seed Daniil Medvedev 6-3, 7-5, marking Ruud's first ever victory over Medvedev. Ruud, known as a clay court specialist, is searching for his first ATP Masters 1000 trophy. He will square off against number 20 seed Francisco Cerundolo of Argentina, who rallied past Czech number 22 seed Jakub Mensik 3-6, 7-6, 6-2. Coco Gauff dismantled defending champion Iga Swiatek 6-1, 6-1 on Thursday with a ruthless display to storm into her first Madrid Open final, where she will face world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka for the WTA 1000 title. Now, Gauff and Swiatek had met 14 times with a head-to-head heavily in 4-time French Open winner Swiatek's favour at 11 wins to 3, while the American had never beaten the Pole on clay. Gauff reached the final at this WTA 1000 event for the first time and is on the precipice of her first title of 2025. Gauff's serve was in peak form Thursday as she won a whopping 19 of 21 first service points and only lost 6 service points overall. She had 7 aces to Swiatek's 1, and Gauff felt that her opponent did not make her run around the court to keep up. Gauff holds a 5-4 edge in the all-time head-to-head series with Sabalenka, her most notable victory coming in the 2023 US Open final, Gauff's first and so far only Grand Slam title. Sabalenka is heading to her 4th Madrid final. She won in 2021 and 2023 and fell to Swiatek last year. Sabalenka won 29 of her 38 first service points, saved 5 of 7 break points, and converted 4 of 6 opportunities to beat Svitolina. Gauff and Sabalenka will meet on Saturday to play for the title.
Daruman jentera moped pelbagai kategori terus menggegar dalam perlumbaan motosikal Petronas Malaysia Cup Prix musim 2025. Dengan jiwa kelajuan, nantikan pecutan kemenangan setiap pelumba hanya di RTM.
And that's it from us this afternoon. Our top story today, Malaysia and Kosovo to focus on enhancing bilateral cooperation. Do join us again tonight at 8:30 p.m. on saluran Berita RTM and TV1, or you can stream us on RTM Click's website and mobile app. Till then, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I'm Mohana Priya. Have a great weekend.